Today, I'm bringing you a rules brief of the Transformers deck building game from Renegade Game Studios. For a full how to play video, check out the link in the description below.
Get back here this instant! Oh.
Thank you. Oh, I love you too. I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you. Thank you.
The Transformers deck building game is a 1 to 5 player deck building game that can be played cooperatively or competitively. But regardless of what mode you're playing, all players will be playing as Autobots with the goal of destroying the evil Decepticons. Now, before we dive into how the game plays, let's get familiar with our play area and the cards we'll be playing with. This grid of cards here in the center of the table is the matrix. This is where your Autobots will move around to search, buy, and battle cards. Now, before I explain how you do everything you can do, let's talk a bit about the cards. At the top is the name of the card. This number here is the cost to buy the card, unless it's a Decepticon, in which case it's the cost to battle it. This is how much power this card generates when it's played, which is used to buy or battle cards. The number below that is the card's range value, which allows you to use that card's power and block abilities from a distance. This is how many move points a card generates. Move points are used to move around the matrix and search. A card's type is indicated here in the center. Below that, you'll find special abilities that are activated when played, and ENERGON abilities that you can pay to activate. This narrow bar here at the bottom will list any rewards gained from successfully defeating that card in battle. Although, being that this is an Autobot, you won't be battling it unless a special rule tells you to. Next, let's take a look at our character cards. Each character card has two sides, bot mode and alt mode, and you'll be converting from one to the other throughout the game. At the top, we have the character's name and its mode, bot or alt. Abilities for those respective modes are displayed in these light-colored boxes here. These are ENERGON abilities only available in bot mode, and the alt side will generate this many move points once per turn, which is only available while in alt mode. Oh, and as noted by this line here, when in alt mode, you get -1 power when battling an adversary. So you might want to convert before that happens. Transformers is played in turns. On your turn, you'll play cards from your hand to do as much as you possibly can. Move around the matrix, search your current space, buy or battle a face-up card, activate ENERGON abilities, convert, and confront a boss. During your turn, you can perform any of those abilities in any order you like as many times as you want, with two exceptions. You can only activate each ENERGON ability once per turn, and you can only confront a Decepticon boss once per turn. Okay, let's go over each of those actions and take a look at what happens when you come across an evil Decepticon. As you play cards from your hand into your play area, they will generate power and move points. If the card you played has any text on it, resolve it immediately, unless that text is preceded by the word confront, assist, or block printed in bold. Those abilities can only be triggered while you're confronting, assisting, or blocking. And any abilities preceded by this image of an ENERGON cube must be paid for in ENERGON before it can be used. The move points you generate from playing cards on your turn can be used for two things: moving and searching. When you spend the move points of a card you played, just rotate the card sideways like this to show that you've spent that move. If a card you played has more than a single point of movement, and you don't want to use it all at once, just use these -1 movement tokens to track how many movement points are remaining on that card. To move your Autobot around the matrix, spend 1 move point for every space you want to move, regardless if that space has a card or not. Searching is the other way you can spend move points. While your Autobot is standing on a face-down card, spend 1 move point to flip it over. As you play cards from your hand, add up all the power they generate. You can then use that power to either battle adversary cards in the matrix or buy non-adversary cards, or both. You can continue to buy and battle cards as long as you have the power to do so. To buy a card, simply spend an amount of points equal to the cost indicated here. Then add that card to your discard pile. Typically, when buying or battling a card, you need to be in that card's space. But if you have a card that generates power and has range, like this card here, you can spend the power generated by that card up to this many spaces away. Roll Out is a basic card that sits by the side of the matrix in a face-up stack. They have a cost of 2 and are available to buy from anywhere in the matrix. To battle a Decepticon robot, also referred to as an adversary, pay the cost listed on their card and add them to your vault. When you add an adversary to your vault, gain the reward listed on the bottom of their card. You don't play with the cards in your vault, but they will earn you points at the end of the game. If there are any number of players standing on a space that is revealed to be a Decepticon robot when it's turned face up, all those players get ambushed. When a player is ambushed, draw the top card of the encounter deck and apply the attack effect listed at the top. Another way to trigger an ambush is by moving into a space with a face-up Decepticon. The player that did the moving is the one that gets ambushed. Anyone already there does not. The last and possibly worst way to get ambushed is by revealing a boss card, because more often than not, you'll trigger an ambush that affects all players everywhere. When a boss is revealed, they perform their reveal attack against all players, no matter where in the matrix those players are located. When resolving an ambush due to a boss's reveal attack, draw an encounter from the top of the deck and apply the ambush attack to all players in the matrix, as noted here. To battle a boss, you need to confront it. First, announce that you're going to confront the boss. Then generate as much power as you can by playing cards from your hand. Okay, so now that you've generated power for the confrontation, all players within range of the boss that you're confronting have the option to assist you by contributing one card face down to the battle. Once everyone who can or wants to assist has their card face down in front of them, take all the encounter cards, even the ones in the discard pile, and shuffle them together. You do this every time you start an encounter with a boss. Now reveal the top card of the encounter deck and resolve the effect on the lower half. Let's say this was our situation, and the boss had an additional 3 points added to its cost, and the power we generated wasn't enough to cover it. At this point, the player that confronted the boss must accept assistance from other players until they either generate enough power to defeat the boss, or there's no more assistance to accept. So in this instance, we need to generate 3 more power. And since we have 2 players with face-down cards ready to assist, we select one of those cards to reveal. Add the power from that card to your power total. If this adds enough power to defeat the boss, as it did in this example, then the boss is defeated and added to the vault of the player who started the confrontation. But here's the rub. Not only does the player who confronted the boss gain the victory points at the bottom, but so does the player who assisted. ENERGON is used for 2 things: converting your Autobot and activating ENERGON abilities. If you want to convert your Autobot from alt mode to bot mode, or vice versa, you can spend 1 ENERGON cube to do so. ENERGON abilities are always preceded by this ENERGON cost. So to trigger this ability, I need to pay this much ENERGON. You can trigger as many ENERGON abilities as you want on your turn, but you could only trigger each of them once. If a card's effect is preceded by the keyword attack, players have the option to block to avoid its effect. To block an attack, simply discard a card from your hand that has the block keyword printed in bold. When you've done all that you can or want to do on your turn, announce that your turn is over. At this point, any unspent power or move points are lost. Not the cards, just the points. The first thing you're going to do when your turn ends is refill all the empty spaces in the matrix with the cards from the top of the main deck. Once that's done, move to your end of turn cleanup. Once the matrix is refilled, discard all the cards remaining in your hand and all cards you played this turn, except for any cards with the ongoing keyword, like these allies, and damage cards. These cards stay in play until another card tells you to remove them. Also, instead of discarding your relics, you have the option of placing them in your vault. But remember, once they're there, there's no getting them back. Next, remove any -1 or +1 tokens from your cards. And lastly, draw from the top of your deck until you have 5 cards in hand. Once that's done, play passes to the next player in clockwise order. The game ends when either 3 Decepticon bosses are defeated, or you can't complete the refill matrix step because the main deck is empty. When that happens, the game ends immediately. Tally up the score and determine the winner. After that, the player with the most points remaining wins. And that's it. I hope this video helps, and I hope you enjoy playing the Transformers deck building game. See you next week. Thanks for joining us. If you like this video and you want to see more, subscribe to our channel. It's the best way to keep up to date with everything we do here at Board Game Coffee. But if you want to see more right now, we got plenty of videos to choose from. And if that's not enough, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm Mark Maya, and this is Board Game Coffee. And remember, have fun, keep gaming, be social. See you next week.